I laughed it off at first, because that's what you do when something catches you off guard. "There's only one bed left," my neighbor said, standing in the doorway of the guest room with a blanket folded in her arms. "We can share it." I shook my head immediately. "I'll take the couch." She raised an eyebrow, not offended, just amused. "It's not exactly comfortable." "I'll survive," I said. "I've slept in worse places." The power had gone out an hour earlier. A storm rolled through faster than anyone expected, knocking down lines, flooding streets, turning the neighborhood dark and quiet in a way that felt unfamiliar. I'd gone over to check on her because she lived alone, and somehow that turned into candles, soup warming on a gas stove, and time stretching longer than either of us planned. She set the blanket down slowly. "You don't have to be a hero," she said. "I'm not," I replied, "just trying to be respectful." That made her smile, but it was a softer smile this time. "You always are." We'd been neighbors for 2 years. Friendly, comfortable, the kind of closeness that builds from borrowed tools, shared jokes over the fence, casual conversations that last longer than they should. The kind that never quite crosses a line, even when both people know the line is there. She turned off the lantern, and the room fell into dim candlelight. Shadows danced along the walls. "You sure?" she asked again, quieter now. "I'm sure," I said, standing up. "Good night." I took 2 steps toward the living room before she spoke. "You know," she said, "most people don't choose the couch unless they're afraid of something." I stopped but didn't turn around. "Or unless they don't want to ruin something." That did it. She walked closer, not touching me, just close enough that I could feel her presence behind me. "Do you really think sharing a bed would ruin anything?" she asked. I turned then. Our eyes met in the low light, and suddenly the air felt heavier. "I think it might change things," I said honestly. "And what if I don't mind things changing?" she asked. I searched her face, looking for playfulness, for teasing. I didn't find it, just sincerity, just warmth. "You deserve someone who doesn't hesitate," I said softly. She shook her head. "I deserve someone who thinks before they act." Silence stretched between us, comfortable and charged at the same time. Finally she reached out, not to pull me closer, just to rest her hand lightly on my arm. "Then stay," she said, "in whatever way feels right to you." I exhaled, tension leaving my shoulders. "I'll take the couch," I said again, but this time there was a smile in my voice. "But maybe we have coffee together in the morning." Her smile widened. "I'd like that." The couch was uncomfortable. My back protested. Sleep came in fragments, but oddly enough I felt at peace. Sometime in the middle of the night I heard footsteps. I opened my eyes to see her standing there, blanket wrapped around her shoulders. "Storm's still bad," she whispered. "Couldn't sleep." I sat up. "You okay?" She nodded. "Yeah, just didn't want to be alone." I shifted over, making space. "You can sit, just sit." She did. We didn't touch at first. Then, without a word, she leaned her head against my shoulder. Not asking, not demanding, just trusting. "That okay?" she whispered. "Yeah," I said, "that's okay." We stayed like that, listening to the rain, sharing warmth without crossing lines, letting something quiet and real settle between us. Morning came with sunlight and silence. The storm had passed. She stood in the kitchen pouring coffee when I walked in. She handed me a mug and smiled like nothing awkward had happened, like everything was exactly where it needed to be. "You still glad you took the couch?" she asked. I took a sip, met her eyes, and smiled back. "Yeah," I said, "because now I know when we do share a bed someday, it won't be because there was no other choice." She laughed softly. "Someday, huh?" "Someday," I said. And this time, neither of us rushed it. The power didn't come back that morning. Not right away. She checked her phone, frowned at the screen, then shrugged. "Utility company says maybe by tonight." "That's optimistic," I said, leaning against the counter with my coffee. She smiled at me over the rim of her mug. It was different now, lighter, like something unspoken had finally been acknowledged and didn't need to shout to be heard. "You don't have to stay," she said. "You've already been more than kind." "I know," I replied, "but I'm not in a hurry." That earned me a quiet look, not surprise, not suspicion, just consideration. "Then," she said slowly, "would you help me with something?" I followed her outside to the backyard. The storm had left branches everywhere, the air damp and clean. We worked side by side, clearing debris, handing each other tools without asking. It felt natural, like a rehearsal for a life neither of us had planned but both of us could imagine. At one point, she sat on the back steps to catch her breath. I handed her a bottle of water and sat beside her. "You know," she said, staring at the yard, "last night scared me." "The storm?" I asked. She shook her head. The quiet, the realization that I didn't want to be alone in it anymore. I glanced at her, careful not to interrupt. "I've been very good at independence," she continued, "convincing myself I didn't need anyone, but when you chose the couch, it made me feel safe, and when you stayed anyway, it made me feel chosen." I swallowed. I didn't want to pressure you. "I know," she said softly, "that's why it mattered." She turned toward me then, her knee brushing mine. No spark, no jolt, just warmth. "What happens now?" she asked. "We keep doing this," I said, slowly, honestly, coffee, yard work, conversations that don't end when they should. She laughed. "That sounds suspiciously like dadding." "Only if you want it to be." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood, brushed off her jeans, then held out her hand. "Walk with me," she said. "No storm, no excuses." I took her hand. We walked down the quiet street, the neighborhood still recovering, everything washed clean. She didn't let go, neither did I. Later that evening, when the lights finally flickered back on, we stood in her living room, the moment suddenly feeling important. "Well," she said, gesturing around, "emergency, officially over." "Yeah," I agreed. She hesitated, then smiled gently. "You still welcome to stay for dinner, not because there's only one bed, just because I'd like you to." I nodded. "I'd like that too." And when I left that night, nothing dramatic happened. No rushed promises, no lines crossed too soon. Just a quiet certainty that next time she said, "There's only one bed," it wouldn't be a problem to solve. It would be a choice we made together.